Welcome back to the podcast. Today, we're going to talk about pedigree versus the life that you choose. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm Flora, minimalism mentor, simplification coach, and 7-time author. For over 25 years, I've been helping women like you align into a life or a business that you are wildly obsessed with by helping you clear the 9 types of clutter, keeping you from a life that you love. What are those 9 types of clutter? They are mental, spiritual, emotional, digital, financial, daily, body, process, and environmental clutter. My YouTube page is where I share my environmental decluttering tips. And here on the podcast, I share with you how to declutter the rest. Please subscribe or follow this feed so you get notified every single time an episode is released. And today we're going to talk about your pedigree and how it is no excuse to hold on to things that no longer serve you. So what is pedigree? Pedigree is your heritage. It's where you come from. It's your family name. It's your ancestry. It's essentially your line of descent. Pedigree influences where you live, what you eat, how you spend your free time, the attitudes that you have about other people, where you go to school, where you go to university, what your mindset is, your wealth, where you vacation, the hobbies that you have, what you invest in, what you read, and a whole host of other things. In the last 25 years that I've been working with people, one of the things that I've heard so often and more times than not is, well, this is how my family's always done it. This is just what we do. Just because something has always been doesn't mean that it's the best for you in your life right now. Blaming your pedigree is essentially bypassing you doing the work needed to clear out all the clutter that is keeping you from the life that you want. And it's also keeping you in repeating outdated ways of thinking and being and living in your life. If you resonate with this, grab your journal and write out everything in your life that you feel is influenced by your pedigree. Again, you could have, such things as, where you live, what you eat, how you spend your free time, the attitudes that you have about other people, who your friends are, who you hang out with in social situations, what your social obligations are, what your mindset is about certain things, how you vote, Republican, Democrat, Independent, all the things, Libertarian, all the different, political parties, what your mindset is about various social constructs, how you invest your wealth, who manages your wealth, where you go on vacation, what vehicle you drive, what hobbies you engage in, whom you invest your time with. This is really big. Again, allow yourself to really pick apart your life and really ask yourself, okay, did my pedigree influence this, or is this something that I brought in on my own? That's big. Now, again, once you create your list, ask yourself, is this me? Is this relevant to my life right now that I'm living? Is this relevant? This is the big one. Is this relevant to the life that I want to be living? In a couple episodes, we're going to talk about creating your dream life. So is this thing that I'm doing, is this relevant to the life that I want to be living? And then ask yourself, do I feel in any way that these things that I'm doing are holding me back or keeping me in a place that doesn't align with the vision that I have for my life? Because this is a cool thing, is when you allow yourself, when you're really honest and you do some soul searching, what happens is you start to feel that kind of truth serum bubble up, and you're like, yeah, I don't really like this social obligation that I do. Or yeah, I don't really like this tradition, or I don't really like that. And I really want to do this, but this is how my family has always done it. So one thing that comes up when you do this exercise, you're going to feel challenged because you're challenging the status quo. You're challenging how you have always done something. And that's big because most people avoid change. So if and when you shift out of these things and you start to do something new, you start to live your life in a different way. Maybe your whole family drives Mercedes and you want to drive a Honda. You're going to get some pushback, okay? You're going to get some rib rubbing or just plain snarky, whatever. Expect it, okay? Expect some of that and prepare for it. This is one of the things that I always, work on with my clients is best case, worst case scenario, and what might get in the way of your ability to be able to implement this thing in your life. And we plan so that if and when that does happen, you know how to navigate that particular thing. So the incredible thing that happens though, when you start to challenge your pedigree, is you get really, really clear about what's relevant and what's not relevant for your life right now, which is huge. When you let the old, outdated things in your life go, all of a sudden you start to feel so much freedom because you are now freeing up so much time in your calendar, in your day, in your life that used to be occupied with all these other old, outdated things that you're just like, this isn't even relevant to my life right now. Why am I even doing this? And when you start doing this work and you come up against that mental clutter, you're going to start to recognize all of these old stories about why or why not this can or can't be done, which is awesome because we just did several weeks worth of podcast episodes about how to identify the characteristics of mental clutter and how to unravel and unpack and neutralize and basically declutter the mental clutter that can come in with stories and when you're doing this work. It's also exciting when these stories come in is because you're like, oh, interesting. I'm holding on to this specific story about why I can or cannot change this, certain thing in my life. Get curious, get excited when things like this come up because that gives you information that you can work with because if nothing's coming up, then you're like, all right, cool, let's do this. But if these stories start coming up, all of a sudden you're like, ooh, interesting. Okay, so I have a story that I'm telling myself that is keeping me stuck, that's keeping me from taking that step forward. Let's look at the story that I'm telling myself. So good. So freaking good. I love it. Again, if you haven't listened to all those podcast episodes about the mental clutter, about how to catch yourself when you're in that mental loop, recognizing all those characteristics of mental loops, again, I give you all the tools on how to unpack this yourself. But if you want my help with this, if you are looking for some personal support and are looking for a very ambitious, very collaborative mentor, y'all know me, I am accepting applications. Click the link in the show notes. Let's jump on a call. Let's see if collaboration together is a great fit for us. I say collaboration because this is not me telling you what to do. This is me digging in, finding out where you're at, what you want, and finding and identifying the clutter that keeps getting in the way. And I help you identify and move out that clutter from your life. So all of a sudden, where you are and where you want to be is much, much closer. I help you close that gap so that you can start to get what you want so much faster, so much faster. So with that said, let's continue this conversation below in the comments if you're watching this on YouTube. If you are listening to this on any podcast streaming platform, email me, flora@florasage.com. Let's talk about your experiences with your pedigree and how it impacts your life and the choices that you make. If you found today's podcast episode helpful, please subscribe, share with your friends, leave a review. Your support in this podcast helps this episode, these podcast episodes, these videos reach more people looking to declutter their lives and align into a life that they are wildly obsessed with. Remember, all it takes is a clear vision of where you are and the willingness to take a 1-degree shift in that direction daily to align into a life that you are wildly obsessed with. I hope this serves you today. I love you, and I will see you in the next episode. Mwah.